Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us today at the Digital Monash Open Day 2021. We're really excited to see you here with us today virtually, and we hope that you enjoy your day here with us and that you get a lot of information about how to apply and the wide range of Monash course offerings that you can access and later on find out more about. So, all right, this session is about education, and I hope you're here because you're interested or really excited about studying education at Monash. And this session is not just about information, but it will give you an opportunity to ask questions about study experiences, how graduates have found work and how they're enjoying their life and work after they've finish their study. So you have the opportunity to ask our fantastic panel today any questions you may have about education. Okay, so before we get to the panel, I just like to introduce myself a little bit. So my name is Jennifer. I'm from the Faculty of Education. I'm a course advisor, and before we start, I would like to acknowledge the lands on which I speak today and recognize that sovereignty was never ceded. I would like to specifically acknowledge that the Wurundjeri and Boonwurrung people, communities of the Kulin Nation, are the ongoing custodians of the lands on which Monash University now stands. We pay our respects through our research, teaching, and learning to the Wurundjeri and Boonwurrung elders and their past, present, and future communities. Okay, so before we get to our panel discussion and before you could ask your questions to our panel, I'd just like to talk about the top 5 reasons why you should study education with Monash. So number 1 is that we enjoy really good reputation, very prestigious reputation, both here in Australia and in the world. Currently, we're ranked number 1 in Australia and top 15 in the world. And that gives our graduates a very competitive edge when they go and look for employment when they finish their course. And not just here in Australia, because our ranking is so high in the world, in the top 15 in the world, that the employers overseas will see our ranking and know that our graduates will be up to any task the school might throw at them. So yes, you will have the opportunity to explore work and different life in different countries. So hopefully when you graduate, the pandemic will be over and you can try and think of all those exciting opportunities then. And then the second reason is we offer you flexibility and choice. Any university, in fact, every university will say that they offer you flexibility and choice. But what does it mean for you? So when we say flexibility and choice at Monash, and when you study education, it means that you can choose to focus on primary or secondary education or early childhood education. Or if you don't want to choose, you can do a combination of these and become qualified to teach in more than one educational sector. And you will have so much employment opportunities, and because of the training you've had and the choice that you have enjoyed. And students can also choose to do a double degree with education. So you can choose from one of these 5 double degree options, and they include arts, business, fine art, music, and science. So you can choose to double your education degree with one of these 5 other degrees. And in just 4 years, you can graduate with 2 separate qualifications, which means you can use either or use both to pursue career opportunities. And what it means to study a double degree is that you're not doubling the time or the work. You still be studying the same number of units every semester, but because some core units can be used as electives, some core units in one degree can be used as electives in the other, you will still be able to graduate within 4 years of study and get 2 qualifications. And your education degree will be an honors degree, so it's a higher level qualification. It will give you so much more competitive edge when you go and look for employment. So that's double degrees. And the third reason is that you will gain a lot of professional experience while you're studying with us. And the best thing is Monash will organize all these for you. So students will be completing at least 80 days professional experience in a real classroom, and you will be guided by a mentor teacher at the school you are doing your placement at. So you won't feel alone or helpless. And the professional experience is such a good benefit because you can actually see how teachers work from day to day in their day-to-day tasks, and you will see how they prepare lessons, how they engage with students and parents, and you get a sense of what it's really like to be a teacher. And that helps you to really think about your future and whether you would like to pursue the teaching career in your adult life. So that's professional experience. And another thing about our professional experience is that you will have the opportunity to not just do placements here in Melbourne and metropolitan Melbourne and the surrounding areas. You can also do rural and regional placements. We know that rural and regional schools, they really need more teachers. So by having this opportunity, students will really make a contribution to education in remote and regional areas. And again, Monash will organize all these for you. And when travel is allowed again, you will have the opportunity to do overseas placement. And actually, one of our panelists today, she has done some overseas placements online even. So we will ask Rami, our student, more about that a bit later. So the second last reason to study education with Monash is the job outlook. We know that we need more teachers. Australia has had this critical shortage of teacher numbers for years, and it's not getting much better. And in fact, in Victoria alone, particularly in the STEM areas, we have this really this great shortage of teachers in STEM areas. So in Victoria alone, over 40% of school principals have said that their maths and science subjects are not taught by professionals qualified to teach in those subjects. So that gives you an idea of how much we need more STEM teachers. And overall, we need more teachers in Victoria and in Australia. And if you become a teacher, the starting salary for a Victorian graduate teacher is about $70,000. So that's pretty high. It's higher than the graduate engineer salary. So it's something to think about. So finally, the last reason why we encourage you to think about studying education with Monash is that we really look after you. We focus on student support and well-being, and I'm sure our graduates and students here will agree with me on this. Every student will have a dedicated student success advisor that student can ask questions to about really about anything. And when students are on placement, they will have a mentor teacher at the school to help them with anything they're not sure about. So we really look after our students. And just very briefly, there are 3 ways to become a teacher. So the first is to study education as a single degree, and the second is to study it as a double degree. Both will just take 4 years. And if you didn't study education as in your undergraduate years, you can study a Master of Teaching after you finish your degree in another discipline. And you don't have to study a Master of Teaching to become a teacher. Just wanted to specify that, because some students do wonder if they have to study the Master of Teaching. No, if you know that you're interested in becoming a teacher, we recommend that you choose the Bachelor of Education honors, because it will get you qualified to teach in just 4 years' time. And we also offer a range of specializations within the Bachelor of Education, because I know most of the audience here with us today are year 12, year 10 students, year 11. So Bachelor of Education is what we are focusing on today. So we offer a range of specializations and they are taught in different campuses depending on what year level, what age group you like to work with. So you can see on this slide, and feel free to go to the chat room and ask our staff about any of these specializations too. And we'll have students in the chat room to answer questions as well. All right, so without further ado, I just like to invite our panelists on with us, Rami and Laura. Hi, thank you for joining us today. Hi, so I just briefly introduce you a little bit. So Rami is a current student. She is studying a Bachelor of Education honors and in secondary education and Bachelor of Arts double degree here at Monash. And Rami, I know you're actually studying from China at the moment. So yeah, thank you for joining us. I know it must be really hot over there right now. So thanks. And Laura is a wonderful graduate. She graduated from Health and PE with Monash, and she is now teaching Health, PE, and a few other subjects at Sandringham College. Welcome, Laura. All right, sorry. So I'll stop share so that people can see our faces a bit more. All right, thank you, Laura and Rami. Before we get to our audience questions, I just wanted to know, why did you choose to study with Monash, first of all? Maybe I'll start with Laura.
Yeah, so when I was choosing universities, I knew I wanted to do teaching, but I was really torn whether I wanted to do primary or secondary, because I liked different ages for different reasons. And so going around to the different open days and finding out that there was dual degrees with both primary and secondary, it really kind of just fitted in with what I wanted to do. And then seeing that they offered health and PE as a secondary discipline as well, it kind of gave me a degree with lots of choice involved once I'd graduated. And the people I spoke to at the open days were just really enthusiastic and excited about what they taught, and it kind of just really drew me into the whole university.
Excellent. Yes, yes. Our staff, they're really excited because they're really passionate about what they teach, and so and you do see that really palpable passion through at Open Day or any other student information session or events. So what about you, Rami? Why did you choose Monash?
So I chose Monash because, of course, it has a high QS or ranking overall, and especially for the education course. So I was really excited, and but at first I was really scared to choose Monash, to be honest, because my friends told me that it's very stressful and very competitive to study at Monash, and the workload is really heavy. But then my counselor told me to not to stress too much, because the teachers are always there to help you and can always get supported. If you can manage your time properly, then it's not a big deal.
That is such an excellent answer, Rami. Yes, our staff are they're not just passionate, they're also really helpful and supportive. And yeah, if you have any questions at all, and particularly for our international students who are stuck overseas right now, it's really important that we give them the support at any time they might need. So I'm really glad to hear that, Rami, you were able to manage your workload and and still enjoy your education. Thanks.
Yep. So the next one's a really good question from Laura here. So if lockdowns continue to occur, what happens to student placements? Do they go on Zoom or are they delayed? If it's the latter, does that mean the completion date of degrees may be pushed back? So this is a really great question for our current students. I know particularly Romy might have something to say about this.
Excellent. Yes, Romy, would you like to take this question?
Yeah, sure. So I did my placement last year, and I was in China, and then the university managed it, and then I took it online. And we had to teach PE, STEM, and Chinese online.
Yes. So the university organized online placements for you. So that does mean you don't have to extend your study because you were able to do your placements in the scheduled time, just online.
Yeah, I didn't extend my study.
Yeah, great. Excellent. Yes, and to add to Romy's answer, if we can find online placement opportunities for you, we will. Or sometimes we have partner schools in the place where the student lives. So if we cannot find those opportunities, we might have to postpone your placements, and we will try to arrange placements still within that 4-year time. But if we're, for some reason, because of the lockdown, travel borders, travel restriction, we're unable to do that, then we might have to extend your study a little bit just to finish the placement, so that students will still be able to meet teacher registration criteria. Great. I think I'll also ask Laura a question about placements. Yeah, when you were studying, what kind of placement did you do, and was there any particular highlight in your placement experience?
So because my degree was primary secondary, I did half. So half my placements were primary, half my placements were secondary. And so doing those placements, what was the second half of the question? Sorry. What was their highlight, did you ask?
Yes, sorry, I was on mute. Yes. Highlight, yeah.
The highlight, it's probably hard. Probably just being able to put what you'd done in the classroom into practice. So I think within each, there was lots of little highlights that kept occurring. But I think my favourite placement would have to be final year, 4th year placement in a secondary school, where you got to take the whole class. And once you had a bit more confidence to really take over, put what you had implemented, and really see the impact you were starting to make. It was really good.
Yeah, so you got to see this visible impact that you have on students, and I guess that must have been a really rewarding experience for you.
Yeah, definitely, and it kind of just made me know that was what I wanted to do as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, excellent. Yeah, so another thing we studying at Monash has this benefit is that you will do your placements throughout your degree. So you start from first year, and you get to build that professional experience throughout your course. So when you graduate, you feel really confident because you've been doing this, you've been teaching, you have been on placement every year of your study. So you feel ready to teach and ready to lead in the classroom. Any more questions from the audience, Grace?
Yeah, so the questions are really starting to fly in now. So
Excellent.
We've got a question from Natisha. I hope I pronounced that correctly. She's actually got 2 questions that are linked together. So with COVID being around, how much do you think that will affect us next year? And will a lot of things be online? That one might be a bit of a hard one to predict. But linked with that is it hard to study online? And that might be a really good one for Romy in particular.
Yeah, I'll ask Romy to start with the second question, is online study hard? And just tell us your personal experience, I guess.
To be honest, it is a little bit hard. It's challenging because you will face a lot of problem with the internet and VPN if you are especially in China. And sometimes you can't open the website without turning the VPN on, and it's hard to find the right VPN to use. And I would recommend to use the one that the university has provided is stable and is free. Yeah,
yes, love that.
If you don't have any problem with the internet, then it should be fine.
Yes, excellent, Rami. And you did mention that our staff and lecturers, tutors are very helpful. Did you make any appointment with any of them to ask particular questions about any unit or assessments?
Yeah, I did, especially before the assignment is due. I would email to my teachers and make appointment and one-to-one conference with them to make sure that I am on the right track. So they would provide some feedback and yeah.
Yeah, that's really good. And that's what we really encourage every student, wherever you are, to do, is to reach out when you have any issues at all. The support is here. We're all here. The staff is here. Your lecturers, your tutors, they're very ready and they really keen to help you, because online study, it's different from studying on campus where you can just go to the lecturer's office and ask any questions, but and the support of students as well. So it can be challenging, but we offer a lot of support, and we also organize a lot of virtual social events for our students so that they can connect with each other virtually from around the world. So I guess this question is sort of related to Laura as well, because you had to do a lot of remote teaching over the past 18 to 20 months. What was that like for you as a teacher?
I think starting online as a graduate first year, you're adapting so much every day anyway. It kind of was just the norm. So to have to do it online, you're learning so much so quickly. It's just another hurdle to jump. So if anything, I feel like as a graduate, you're better prepared to tackle it than, say, an experienced teacher who's been doing the job for 20 years and having to adapt their practice in that way. So I feel like you surprise yourself with what you can do. And you actually end up teaching other staff a lot of things as well, being able to learn so quickly.
Yeah, and that's one of the great, I think, personal traits of a teacher is you're teaching, but at the same time, you're always learning, you're always adapting. And that's a really good skill to have for anyone, and which that skill can definitely be applied to many other professions. So it's that skill of being adaptable and getting the resources that are helpful. That is a skill we definitely prepare our students to have, just like Rami has mentioned. Grace, do you have more audience questions for us?
Yes, I do. So Kirsty was wondering, as a mature age student, what are the sort of requirements for that situation?
Yes, so for mature age students, there are lots of other pathways. You still be applying to the Bachelor of Education via VTAC, but you do have to submit a personal statement in your VTAC application. And for mature age students, you do still have to meet the subject prerequisites, include maths and English. So year 11 maths and year 12 English. And with English, there is a particular score, VCE English score. But if you didn't have that, you could use either single university study to demonstrate your English to your English proficiency if you're a domestic student, or for those who have done vocational study, there are opportunities for you to use a graded vocational qualification to then apply to the Bachelor of Education. But again, you have to apply through VTAC and supply your personal statement to explain why you want to study education, your motivation, and how you meet the subject prerequisites.
Okay, so the next question I've got is from Samantha, and Laura's already touched on a little bit of her experience teaching throughout the pandemic, but Samantha would like to know, in general, as a teacher, is the workload heavy?
So I think this really depends on what you're teaching and your support staff at school. So I'm very fortunate in a secondary school. I work with a team. I think there's 6 or so teachers, and within our staff base teaching health and PE, we do split the lesson planning and the workload a lot, and we do it very collaboratively. So in terms of teaching load, I'm very lucky in that sense. You do also get extra time off in your first year to get that support. So I think you get a period off in a secondary school where you can meet with your mentor, get help, and have that little bit of extra time to plan and to get your head around marketing and everything. But I think it's very school specific as well. So my experience isn't probably the experience of all, but I found it's very manageable. And it's such a supportive system at my school that it's been fine the last 2 years.
Excellent. Yes, and to echo Laura's response, it does depend on the school, but I think for someone who's really passionate about teaching, and we do prepare our students to manage their time, as Rami has touched on earlier, to be good at time management, and that will really help you manage the workload. More questions, Grace?
So the next question is, what are the assessments like, and do you have exams?
That's a very good question, Grace. So I will just ask Rami to talk about this a little bit. So what have your assessments been like, Rami, and did you have to do exams?
So we had so what was the question again? Sorry.
Yeah, it's no problem. So the assessments, so assignments, what kind of assignments did you have to do to get marked on, and was there exams?
Oh, okay. Since we don't have exams for the education, we need to write essays, and but for the arts, so I took psychology and media. For the media, we don't have exams as well, but it depends on what kinds of subjects you take. So for the psychology, we do have exams, but it doesn't have hurdle. Some of them doesn't have hurdle. Yeah.
Excellent. In answer to the question, for education, there is no exams, only written and verbal assessments. But if you're doing a double degree, you might have a set of exams in the double degree discipline. So for example, psychology or even maths, if you're doing a double degree with a science. What about you, Laura, when you were studying, what was that like? Exams, assessments?
So our physical education units had exams in the first 2 years because it was very content heavy. But then after second year, it was all assignments. So we did a mixture of essays, like Romy said, but as well as physical demonstrations of teaching. So we taught Wallara, so a disability group, as well as our peers in different settings.
Yeah, that must have been a very rewarding experience to do different placements, different programs in your as a student.
Yeah, it was awesome because we kind of had outside of placement, we had teaching experiences week by week to be able to feel more ready for the placements as well, which was good.
Excellent. So one of the questions we got asked a lot by students is that, you know, how when you are a teacher, pre-service teacher, how do you make the transition from that to being a full-time teacher? And I think that's a question for Laura, definitely.
I feel like you just managed to do it. So there's a lot of similarities between your placements and first year teaching. So you have a mentor in both, you've got a support team in both, and you also have your colleagues around. So you're not on your own when you get thrown into teaching first year, which I think in my head I thought I would be. So there's still someone to get help from. You can still go observe other teachers to keep learning. The biggest thing is it's probably just a weird feeling that suddenly you have responsibility over 25 students each lesson. So I think that's the scariest bit, is just that mental aspect of I'm in charge now, like what if I make a mistake? But I think you just manage to keep going forward. You learn every day. And from my first day of teaching to now, I've come so far, and I know I'll still continue to grow. So I think just knowing you're not going to be perfect straight out of uni, you have help. And you keep learning on the job a lot as you go.
Yeah, great. So it's really important for everyone to look for support and help if you need it. There's nothing wrong with making mistakes. No one is perfect. We're all still doing our best. We're just learning, and we're always going to be learning more on the job, even though, you know, you may have a lot of experience, but there's still always more things to learn. Grace, do you have more audience questions? Because I might have a question for Rami. If not,
you can go ahead with your question, Jen, if you'd like.
Yeah, okay. So Rami, I think what I wanted to know more about is your online placement experience, because we mentioned in our private conversation earlier, you said the Vietnamese school was quite interesting, where you did your virtual placement.
Yeah, so at first the school has informed us that it was an offline placement, but then the university has managed it to online, and we had to change to another school for the online placement. So it was a Buddhist primary school, is a Vietnamese school. So the school asked us to teach the students STEM, which includes science, technology, and math. And we had to teach Chinese and PE. So we teach PE to the students standing in front of the camera and do some physical exercises. Yeah, since the placement was 2 weeks long, and in the first week we needed to observe how the teachers teach, and we had to make some notes. And in the second week, we needed to create a lesson plan for each of the lesson, and we need to teach the lesson. Since it was online, it was challenging because of the unstable internet, and sometimes it was hard to control the class because the students doesn't turn on their camera. And
I'm sure Laura could relate to that as well.
Yeah, but overall it was nice and it was fun.
Yeah, and that's some experience I think not many students could have to do, you know, to teach virtually to a school that is overseas when you're not physically in that country yourself. And to be able to, I know you're studying secondary education, but to be able to also teach primary overseas, primary education overseas, that's such an amazing achievement. I think you should be really proud of yourself, Rami. I think we have just time for one last question.
Yes, we do, Jen. We've got a question about teaching placements and more general about what kind of institutions or organisations where where teaching placements are done. And obviously we've got our student and graduate as well, that Romy and Laura, that can speak to their experiences. And in particular, Jen, if you could also just touch on for Master of TESOL, if there's a specific type of placements that they tend to go into with that one. But probably first, if we can hear from Laura and Romy about your experiences.
Excellent. Thanks, Shanti. I'll start with Laura. What kind of,
So the types of placements I did it at all government schools, and I did it at all co-ed schools as well. So the only probably out of the ordinary school I got to go to was Nossal, which was selective entry 9 to 12. But my placement experience outside of that was pretty standard schools, but I did get a mix between IB schools and regular schools as well. Within that as well, probably out of the usual that maybe not all universities do, is in my first and second years, we had a whole heap of people from our course go to the same same high school, or same primary school. So we got to teach in groups and teach from our very first year instead of just observing. So that was probably something also for my placement experience that might not be everyone's experience, but teaching in groups with my peers to have that support early on before having to transition to teaching individually.
Yeah, excellent, Laura. So Rami, I know you have been doing online placements. Did you do any physical in-person placement at all in your 2 years of study, 1.5 years?
No, not at the Monash University, but I did some voluntary work when I was in high school.
Yeah, excellent. So if we can organize in-person placements for our students, we will. If not, we'll try and find online placements for students so that they can finish their course on time and don't have to postpone any placements. So what kind of institution would be the place for teaching placements? I think some student might be asking, like, is it government schools or anything? So we will, we do have a large number of schools we are in partnership with, and we do send our students there, and it's a mix of government schools, and also we will look at your location. So we won't put you in a school that is really far away, because we do want to look after you. We don't want to put you, don't want you to have to travel too far. So normally the commute time for our student going on placement will be less than 45 minutes. And you do get to experience a mix of different institution settings. And I know students, sometimes they can request to do a placement at a particular school, but you just need to get approval from our placement office. And for TESOL, we do organize placements for our students too. The institution would be organizations that teach English to overseas students. So that's the kind of work institution we send our students to. And it is built into the course. Great. I think that's all the time we have. Unfortunately, I know we're really enjoying our discussion with Rami and Laura here, and I hope you got a lot of information from this panel discussion. And I would just like to remind you that this Open Day, Digital Open Day, is on today until 3 until 2 p.m. or 3 p.m. I sorry, I don't know the exact time, but either 2 or 3 p.m. Sorry, 3 p.m. Yes, I can confirm it will finish at 3 p.m. and you will have until then to first of all come back and listen to another panel session and ask more questions to a different set of student and graduate at 1:30. So you can come back here, tune in to another panel session with student and graduate and ask more questions at 1:30, or go into the chat room. And how to do that is click chat or chat with us in the Monash Digital Open Day platform. And if you can't see it, please click join other chat rooms and choose welcome to education. You can enter a message, put your questions in at the bottom of the screen, and one of our staff or current students will chat with you directly and answer any questions you might have. So the website is opendaymonash. So please just Google Monash Open Day, and I'm sure you'll be able to find it. The link is really long, but yeah, I'm sure you'll be able to find it very quickly. So yes, hopefully we have answered your questions, and hope you enjoy the rest of the Digital Open Day experience. And just one more thing, the Digital Open Day will also be on Wednesday evening from 5 to 9. This time I remember the time correctly. So please join us then. There will be one more session at 7 p.m. on Wednesday, the 28th of July. And you will also be able to chat directly on your phone, on your laptop, on your iPad with our staff or students, and we will be able to answer any questions you may have about studying education at Monash. Okay. Hope you enjoy the session and hope you enjoy the rest of our open day. Have a good afternoon, everyone. Bye.